Greetings and salutations. Morgan here with Seahawks Palaver, and I was going over our roster as compared to how Mike Macdonald ran his Ravens defense last year with the personnel that they had, and it seems like we have a little bit of a deficiency in size. We don't really have a lot of big dudes. We don't have a lot of beef on the defensive line like the Ravens do. In fact, until we got Leonard Williams last year, we only had two guys over 300 pounds, and Leonard Williams came in at 300 even, right? So, and Mike Morris was 300 at training camp around there, but he got hurt. So, really, it was just Jaron Reed and Cameron Young, and they were both under 100, 310 pounds. So, we did sign Jonathan Hankins, who's 325. He's also 32. He's probably not going to give us a whole lot of snaps, but that's okay. Hopefully, we can find someone in for the rotation. And even if it gives us like 300 snaps, I think that would be a good contribution for what we signed him for. Otherwise, I think we're okay. Although I did notice this also. The Ravens played nickel 79% of the time. So now Devin Witherspoon excelled in that role. And so if we think of him as playing nickel 80% of the time, then that means we have Michael Jackson or Trey Brown playing opposite Reek Woolen at a cornerback spot. And that, to me, seems like a little bit of weakness. I think that we can use some improvements there. So I'm going to keep an eye on cornerback, some opportunities to improve that in the draft. As well as we signed Laken Tomlinson to fill in our glaring hole at right guard. But I'm still worried if Bradford has the athletic ability to play the style that we want with a lot of pulling and reaching. I'm not sure if he can do that. He's a great road grader, moving straight ahead. How is he laterally? Remains to be seen. And I have Olu Uluotimi here at center. I think he can do a good job. I'm not sure what the coaching staff thinks. We will. That remains to be seen. I am happy mostly with our wide receivers room. Lockett this is probably his last year, but I'm confident in Metcalf, JSN, and Jake Pobo. He was my boy in the draft last year. I'm glad that he's stuck on the team and proved his worth. And Drake Young remains to be seen. D'Eskridge and Laviska Shenault, I guess, will be fighting over the spot. And it's such a nice draft for wide receivers. I really wish we could dip our toe in there somehow. I just don't know how we're gonna do it. We'll see how it falls out. And Schneider keeps talking about quarterbacks. We did get Sam Howell. Do they really believe in him? We had several opportunities to draft him when we needed a quarterback, and we didn't do it. So I don't know how much veracity there is to our Sam Howell love, but I think possibly a quarterback might be in the cards also. We shall see. So let's jump into draft thinking upgrades in the offensive line, upgrades at corner, size on the defensive line, and maybe if we can find a wideout, that'd be nice. A tight end would be good too. We'll just see we'll see how the draft falls for us this time. I've been looking around at prospects, so we shall see if I can squeeze some in this draft. All right, let's move public that up. Let's care positional value up a little bit. Enter the draft and start. So, Liatu Latu is probably the most developed pass rusher in the draft. I'm worried about his neck injury, and I think a lot of teams have just taken him off the board completely. Same with Braden Fisk, interestingly. I wasn't aware that he had an extensive injury history, too, but a lot of teams are wary of him, too. Even though he took over, the Senior Bowl, it seems that some teams are wary of his physical discrepancies as well. So I would not draft Liatu Latu. That's just me personally. Even though he's good, I would stay away from him. Derzon Newton, I love, but I don't think that Fatanu is going to be here. I just really don't. But if he's here, I think he's someone you have to stick and pick. Byron Murphy, I'd stick in pick 4. Also, Quinion Mitchell, I would stick in pick 4. Might have to stick in pick for Troy Fautanu, which is going to make the rest of the draft very interesting. Okay, let's. If Fatanu's here, I say we take him. I'd much rather trade down for quantity over quality, but I think he's elite, and I think he'd be transformational for the offensive line, either at guard or at tackle. If Abe Lucas can't go at right tackle. Okay, we at 81. Who do we have? Whole lot of nothing. All right, so let's see what the trades are. 84. Oh yeah, that'd be nice. Drop down 3 picks. I can do that. What will they give us? Let's try for the 119. No. Well, I'm not gonna take these. Those kind of stink. All right, we'll give them both of them. Even though they're late, it's just 3 spots. Okay, so Johnny Wilson, Ray Davis, Steve Thomas. I'm not really interested in any of those players right now. 86. You can drop down 2 more spots. I think it was 127. Yeah, they would. Okay. And they took Kyrie Jackson, which was a good pick. He's definitely a Seahawks type corner, but that's not who I'm looking for right now. Now, Renardo Green, I took him in the last draft. There's a lot of man under concepts that I anticipate being played next year, and Renardo Green is fantastic in that regard. But I don't know if I want to pick him right now. But Mason McCormick. This is my guy this year. I love Mason McCormick. He's one of my favorite players in the draft. But we already took an offensive lineman in the first round, and I don't think with Lincoln Tomlinson, I don't know if we need this guy. We need him here. And I kind of think that Schneider might be itching for Michael Pratt. They did meet with him a couple times at the Combine, and I think they had a conference call with him also. But Braylon Trice would be an excellent fit, too. I was speaking of Carlos Dunlap earlier. He reminds me a lot of Carlos Dunlap, to be completely honest. He's about 10 pounds lighter, but similar play style. I think the way the board's falling, I don't... let's give Schneider his quarterback. Ugh. Let's just do it. I like Michael Pratt. He's pretty good. And Michael Hall Jr. is interesting, but again, that doesn't help us in the size. I mean, he could play maybe a big defensive end, but I kind of want to wait. Kalen Carson would be a really good pick here, as would Jerry and Jones. If we wanted to keep Spoon on the outside and have Jerry and Jones play slot, he and Witherspoon have a very similar play style. That would be interesting. Who else do we have here? Or Cam Kinchins. I know the Seahawks like this guy a lot, but I'm more interested in some of the safeties later on. I think maybe Kalen Carson might be a good pick here. Well, let's check the trades. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so let's drop down 10 spots, shall we? And pick up their... We should pick up their 148. Okay. And they took Kalen Carson. That's hilarious. That's funny. I'm going to wait. Let's take Tavondre Sweat. I realize the red flags, and I don't think that he's someone that's going to be on Seattle's draft board. I think they just take him off because they don't think he can be trusted. But there isn't a whole lot of people in this draft with his size. And if they can focus him, I don't know. I have my reservations as well, but let's just do it because we need size in the interior, and he is the biggest and best at this position at this point in the draft. And we can still take Jerry and Jones if we wanted to. Who else is available? Jordan McGee is one of my favorite linebackers in the draft, but he is small. And we already signed a small linebacker in this class, free agency class, so I don't know if we want to go that direction. again, even the Ravens have a lot of larger linebackers, more along the line. Darrell Taylor is like 267, which I didn't realize he was that big. Mafe is 261, another big dude. That's more in line with what Mike Macdonald seems to prefer. Though they do have smaller dudes on the inside, like in the 230s, like Roquan Smith. But I just don't know that there's room for Jordan McGee on the team, which is really unfortunate because I like him a lot. Okay, so I think Jerry Jones is going to be the pick. I like that guy a lot. Yeah, I'm just going to do it. There is some guys, corners I like later on in the draft. In this game, he gives us 2 slot, but Jerry Jones can play on the outside. He's just better in the slot. And we drafted Witherspoon at 5th overall. Is he someone that you want to have your slot defender be the number 5th pick in the draft? I don't know. But I like Jerry Jones, so we'll just go there. We have 127 and 148. And Maris Leafau, I like him a lot too. Mo Kamara, another one of my dudes, but he's just not the right. I just don't think he's gonna fit in what we want to do. All right, so like Mason Smith and Leonard Taylor, they're more along the lines of what we're looking for. 315, 6'6", come from a big program. He's proven. Let's see what to do. I think right now we just take Theo Johnson since tight end is gonna be a need. I can't not take Luke McCaffrey. I did want to dip my toe into the wideout pool here. I think that this is as good a time as any to do it. Although I might miss out on Zach Zinter, which would be nice at this spot too. I passed on Mason McCormick for. All right, I'm gonna take Zach Zinter. There's other tight ends we can get later. Zach Zinter, even though he was injured last year, he's one of the best guards in the draft, and to get him at this point is a steal. So I'm just gonna roll with that here. Grayson Murphy, someone they had their eye on. They brought him in for a top 30 visit. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan. I'd much prefer Logan Lee. I like and Justin Aboigbe. I think they'd be more on the radar. In fact, I probably will draft Logan Lee. Let's look at corners first. Well, let's look at linebackers first. No, we got ways to go before that's a concern. And Grayson Murphy, Aboigbe. Okay. Whoops. We don't need Bill Limmer. I just got Zach Zinter. Okay. A lot of guys I like. I like Bo Braid a lot. But I think 178. Is there a trade down that still no? Too far down. Alright, so I'm going to do Logan Lee here. I like his game a lot. He is around the right size. He's 291. He can play. He played nose tackle for Iowa, and he was amazing at that size. So I think kind of like if we move him out, I think he can play a good end too. I think I don't know if he lined up a lot on the outside. Let's see. No, he's mostly in the B gap. So he 3 techniques a lot of time. But I think that he can play on the outside. I really do. He's just got such quickness and such an eye for the ball. I think he can do it. So I'm banking more on the player than the position he played last year. I think that we're going to move him around. I think, and that's another thing with the Ravens defense is that they played everywhere. People moved around in a bunch of different positions. He can probably play that Brent Urban, 5 technique role, or maybe even the 4 technique. I think he'd be really good there. Which brings me to. Oh, I want to take Isaac Garendo, I really do, but I think we can get a running back as a free agent. I know they have their eye on George Halani, who reminds me so much of Chris Carson. It's ridiculous. So I think that if they don't draft him, he's not on he's not in this draft list. But I think that if Seattle doesn't draft him, they definitely try to recruit him hard as an UDFA. Bo Braid is someone I think that he can. He's a shade smaller than Kyle Hamilton, but he plays the same way. But I really want to hold out for the Washington safety. I think he'd be more interested in that. And here's where I'd really like to take Justin Aboigbe, but if I don't take and McKinley Jackson. I'd like to take McKinley Jackson too. And Dominic Hampton. All right, so I'm going to take 79, 182, and 195. All right, so let's do this. Let's take Aboigbe. He's very much like Logan Lee. I know I'm going crazy on the defensive line, but I think we have to. I remember how we kind of tried to reinvent the defensive line last year. I think we're going to have to do something similar this year. So I'm going to take Dominic Hampton here and McKinley Jackson here. I know it looks like overkill. I know it does. But this is how we're gonna have to do it, I think. And last but not least, let's get our linebacker Nathaniel Watson. Again, he's like one of the biggest linebackers available at this line that can still play at this part of the draft. So, okay, I think we covered most of our bases here. Troy Fautanu is going to be transformational on the offensive line. Michael Pratt, throw Schneider a bone. He keeps saying that he wants to draft a quarterback, and he never does. So here, have a quarterback. T'Vondre Sweat, untrustworthy player. Getting a DWI 3 weeks before the draft is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I don't know how that happens. But hopefully if we can get him in line, he has the size. 366 pounds to be a stalwart in the middle if he just commits himself. Jarian Jones, more of a nickelback, kind of like I just said nickelback. He's very similar to Devin Witherspoon. I would have perhaps rather had gotten someone more on the outside, but the draft just didn't seem to drop that way for me. So Jarian Jones, either he plays outside or Witherspoon plays outside or whatever, or they find some way to get them both on the field at the same time. I don't know, but I like Jarian Jones. He's a good player, got some ball skills. Someone who I might have drafted if he's on the list was Quantez Stiggers, but he's not in this draft board for whatever reason. But the Seahawks had him in for a visit, and he has a lot of potential. Very interested in that guy. Theo Johnson, again, another top 30 visit for the Seahawks. He's not my favorite tight end in the class. In reality, I'd be happy if they skipped over Theo Johnson and just picked up Westover or Culp or whatever, one of the Washington tight ends later on in the draft. I'd be perfectly happy with that. But Theo Johnson has some potential. Zach Zinder, one of my favorite guards. He's not Mason McCormick, but Mason McCormick went a little bit earlier, and due to his injury history, it's conceivable that Zach Zinder falls this far. Hard to believe, but he was there, so I took him. Logan Lee, Justin Aboigbe, two very similar players, around 300 pounds. They can be interchangeable. They have very similar game. This D plus is stupid. Logan Lee's a fantastic player, and Justin Aboigbe was a great player on a great defensive line in Alabama. Dominic Hampton, versatile, heady safety for Washington. I totally see how the Seahawks could be into him. McKinley Jackson is great size, around 325 pounds, a lot of power. So between Lee, Aboigbe, and McKinley Jackson, I think that, and T'Vondre Sweat, it might be overkill. But it's okay. People get hurt, people can't play. I think that it's important to have a solid defensive line. And our defensive line is versatile and huge. Maybe not a pass rusher necessarily among them. Logan Lee, I think, can. He has actually a pretty decent win rate. Aboigbe has shown flashes. But again, these guys are more hold the edge, run stuffers. The Logan Lee has a lot of pass rush potential. He can get after it. And McKinley Jackson, again, is just solid, dominant, physical force in the middle. I don't care if it's overkill, almost. I'm like, I would love to see just a defensive line that's so monstrous and overbearing that other teams quake in their boots. And this would this would be a way to go to do it. We could trade Drummond Jones if he's not turning out, or if he is doing well, but is in the way of someone developing. I don't know. Something to consider. Save some money down the road. And Nathaniel Watson is from KJ Wright's school, right? And he's the heir apparent. I don't know. He's also a good blitzer, and that's another thing that Mike Macdonald said. They want people to blitz from everywhere. Witherspoon can blitz. Jane Jones can blitz. Nathaniel Watson can blitz. We have pass rushers already on the roster, like Mafe, and who can blitz. Daryl Hall can blitz. He can't play the run to save his life, but he can get after the quarterback. So possibilities galore. Thanks for hanging out with me for a little bit. And this was a very trench-focused draft. But I think that's where the game is won and lost, is in the trenches. And I accentuated that with a developmental quarterback and a tight end with a lot of physical potential. And I thought I drafted Luke McCaffrey. I guess I didn't. No, well, I missed out on the whiteout class, but what are you going to do? Sometimes that happens. All right, guys. Anyway, thank you so much. And I will see if I can get some more videos out before draft time, but I'm super excited for the draft. And I hope you are too. And I'll see you next time. Bye.